Hi everyone, I'm doing a quick review on Virtisse, this new new brand of pointe shoe that I have kind of just discovered. They are really substantial shoes. I like them a lot. There's a few notes that I want to make on them just for people that alter their shoe. And I wanted to mention that I tried on several models. I ended up with a specific model. I'm kind of thinking I should have gone a different route, but anyways, I'll just share all the different things that I discovered about the different models. So the first shoe I tried on was the Medora, and it has a side drawstring, and then a flatter profile, a broader toe box, so a little bit more square, and then it seemed like the vamp was slightly lower. So this would be a good shoe for somebody with shorter, broader toes, wants to, needs a little bit of lower vamp to get over the box and everything. I really liked the elastic drawstring, kind of like a gainer mended, you could pull it on the side. The only thing I will say is when I tried on my size, it felt almost too loose. I'm really used to that compression, that feeling like everything's very snug, and so I'm not sure if in a Medora I should have sized down, or I only tried on the shoe briefly. So. And then I tried on the Enigma and the Enigma Fix. I really liked that model. It actually reminded me quite a bit of the Nova from Nicolay, or previously Grishko. It was a lower profile, a semi-tapered box, probably maybe a little less tapered than this one, which I'll talk about in a minute, but a semi-tapered box. It really felt snug, it felt like my toes were very supported. They weren't going to go anywhere, which was good. And then, what else can I say about it? Yeah, I guess the thing I can say is it really reminded me of the 2007, 3007 or Nova, that last of shoe. It was a little bit broader, which I liked, and narrower through the shoe. So it was narrower through this part in the same width, but slightly broader in the toe box. So hopefully that makes sense. And then I tried on the Verve, and I ended up taking the Verve home, and I like it. They're very nice shoes, and I don't know what the drama was. I think that the person that founded this was associated with Nicolay, and then that's how, I don't know, how Nicolay had to be Nicolay instead of Grishko or whatnot. But anyways, regardless of whatever that happened with that, I don't know a lot about it. So it's a good shoe. I really like them. So just a few details that I discovered. First of all, they have these pads sewn in. Oh, where did the tip go that I ripped out? I don't like these. Everybody that's watched this probably knows. It looks like terry cloth, kind of like the 70s rompers that people used to wear, maybe 80s, over their swimsuits. I don't know if you can see that. And it was glued into the tip here, and there's sponge underneath with holes, you can see probably. What I will say about that is the glue filled the holes, and it's like super glue. It's very hard glue. It's not paste, it's not malleable. So when I sunk the littlest bit, I could feel like what felt like needles coming up to my toe. So it's of the utmost importance that you make sure the width is correct so you do not sink. That's what I would say about that. I did rip it out because I just don't like anything there. And most of the glue came out on this terry cloth. With the exception of a few little spots that I haven't noticed once I put my toe pads on. But when they were all in a row and I had a width that was too wide, it was quite obvious that there was something there. The shank is sewn all the way through, so it's not like a previous Grishko, a Grishko where it would be sewn through here, but you could still pop up the inside shank. No, it's actually sewn through the leather outer sole, and into the shank inside. So I cut my shank, which I did in this case, and the threads started coming loose, and I literally had to go back and glue to secure those threads so they didn't unravel. So it's just like the Russian Pointe jewel collection in that you cannot start cutting around in here without hitting the thread, period. I mean, I don't know how you would possibly do it. I guess if you were gonna cut in between a thread maybe or something, but I had a box cutter, I cut through, the shoe unraveled, so I had to glue it. So if you're someone who likes to break shanks before you wear them or alter your shoe, that's something to consider when looking at this shoe. It has a nice little, this looks like plastic, this little plastic heel supporter. The one thing I really dislike is I do like to shave this down to make it flat. So if they ever tapered this section down, I would be super happy. I don't know if they'll ever do that. They may never even, hopefully maybe someone else will say that to them. I don't know. But if you taper down this section, then it would help so the heel doesn't get cut in. And obviously your weight should be in your heels, but in movement sometimes it just felt like painful. So there's a half shank reinforcement. So we've got a 3-part shank here. We've got a red board. We've got a half shank reinforcement. See how thick that is? And then you've got your full shank over that. I am finding now, especially in my left foot, I need that much support because I'm knuckling. I can't, certain shoes that fit me really well that I love, I just can't do certain things in. Like I can't do ballet on my left foot because my foot doesn't feel supported enough. Or I can't do on-to-down turns on my left foot because my left foot feels, I'm afraid because I had a fracture in one of my metatarsals. So if you like a really substantial supportive shoe like a Nicolay or a Russian Pointe, you're probably going to like these. They're just thicker shank, more support. And they do have different, there's soft, medium, obviously, or hard, but there will always probably be a width here that is a little bit more than what you would see in Freed or something like that. Elastic drawstrings in all the models that I saw, which is wonderful. A nice suede liner. This is thicker than the block suede. It's really nice and soft, so I was happy about that. I would say it's a really nice, even toe box. It's very balanced. See, it's not super oval, and that reminds me a bit of Nicolay or Grishko as well. But it is a flatter profile shoe. It's not very bulbous. It's more bulbous than some of the models they had available, like the Enigma Fix, but a little bit flatter than, like, say, a European Balance or something from Block. But I'll put it on and I'll show you. It's the stitching, this casing that goes along, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's just like a Nicolay. It's like just like Grishko or Nicolay. So it's kind of like this hybrid between Russian Pointe, Nicolay. Yeah, it's a good shoe. I like it. I think I might try a few other models. But this is the Verve, and I think the Vamp is probably on the higher side. It also has a pretty high, these kind of cover the foot a little bit more than some people prefer. For instance, here's my Hannah, and see how open this throat is? It's quite open. It shows a lot of the instep, and it's very flattering. I don't mind my tape down shank. And this has a little bit more fabric over it. So you can see, even though the Vamp actually looks higher in the Hannah, this, because it's a wide U-cut, it's pretty flattering. And this pulls up a little bit more over the metatarsals. So if you knuckle, or you need a little bit more support in wing, or you feel like you go over, or maybe you have trouble getting the alignment just right, these might be good for you. If you have a really low instep, you might want to look at the Enigma or the Medora, because I felt like those were a little bit more flattering. I'm just going for the most possible support at this time, because, like I said, there's things I can't even do, because my foot is just injured, So, yeah, so I will put them on and show you, and hopefully that will help. The heel is very similar, again, to the Nicolay, or, there's no weird heel cap. Like in the Heritage blocks, they have several of the models, I think it's in the European Balance too. There's like a heel cap where there's a lot of extra fabric. I don't prefer that. This doesn't have that, so that's good. I don't know if other models do, and I just didn't see it. But yeah. So, just so you can see a tendu, it's a pretty shoe, for sure. I broke the shank, which made a world of difference, because and I like the thickness of a medium shank, but it needs to break in the right place, and I tend to break in a little bit different place than a lot of other people. So I like to break the shank. This is my injured foot. So you can see when I go up, oftentimes on my left foot, when I go up, this line will break. And I've noticed that in photos and such, it looks like it's pulling back, and it's really an injury. Like the right foot is a little bit more over and in alignment, and this is just, I don't know if it'll ever be the same. So, yeah, so I needed a shoe that really supported me all the way through, had a little bit higher vamp and all of that. And I'm happy, because sometimes with a high vamp comes a shoe that just doesn't look very good on my foot. But this I felt like was flattering still. It's still very pretty. It shows an instep, like you can see like the instep of the foot. But it's enough support to where I don't feel like I'm spilling over or breaking too low or any of that. So hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, Virtisse, they're totally beautiful shoes. I like the color of the satin, which seems trivial, but sometimes it's hard to match tights and things like that. It's a pretty standard color. I like the balanced platform. The paste is similar to some of that the newer technology paste, like 7, 8, 10 years ago. If you got a Pointe shoe, the side you'd be able to like break down the side, and you could almost hear it crunching, and you break it down where your bunions were and such. The newer paste doesn't really do that. So the newer paste molds to the foot, but still adds support, and you're not going to be able to break down the side. So these do have higher wings. The wing literally goes up to like here. So that's probably why it works for my injury, because when I push down the fabric, the wing is literally all the way up here. So that's something to consider as well. Like for instance, I guess my Hannahs have pretty high wings. The Hannahs have an older paste, but you can see like the wings are pretty, see the difference? Like the wing up here versus the wing down here. So even though this has a higher vamp with the fabric, because the wing breaks lower, it feels different. So I hope this helps someone out there. I was really curious about them. There was another YouTuber that did a review, which I thought was good, gave me some ideas, and then I just went and I tried a bunch of them on, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I'm going to do the Enigma Fix next time. I might try on the Medora again. The thing with anytime I get something that's slightly lower vamp or slightly too square, it's like this fine balance, because I can knuckle in the shoe when it breaks down, so I just have to be really careful about that. But I also, can't have a shoe that's too tapered or too high of a vamp, because then you can't get over your shoe. So you know how it is. It's a balance all the time. So if you have the opportunity to try on the Virtisse, I highly suggest it. Just a side note for sizing, I personally feel like they run a little bit more narrow than Grishko used to. I have not tried on Nicolay yet, so I don't have anyone locally that carries the new Nicolay. They only have old Grishko that they're kind of going through that stock. So I can't really say. I believe the sizing is supposed to be the same between the Grishko and the Nicolay, because I think they just changed the name. But for instance, I am a 2X, solid 2X in Nicolay or Grishko, and this is a 3X. So it really just depends on, it might depend on the model a little bit, but it just depends on your foot, and I would say these overall run a little bit more narrow. I could have gone with a 2X probably. It just depends on the model and everything. So something to consider. Don't order them online if you can't try them on, unless you can do a virtual fitting with them. And just consider that if you do wear Nicolay, you might have to go down a width. Or I'm sorry, up a width. Scratch that. So if you're a 2X in Nicolay, you might have to go up to 3X in Virtisse. So hopefully that makes sense and it's helpful to somebody out there. And I hope everyone's having a happy new year and staying well. Okay, bye.